welcome to episode 58 of FountainCast, a bi-weekly podcast brought to you by the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce, striving to be your one-stop fountain of information regarding your local business community here in Fountain Hills. I'm your host, Jill Haislip. Be sure to stay tuned after the podcast to hear about upcoming chamber events. Welcome to episode 58 of FountainCast, a bi-weekly podcast brought to you by the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce, striving to be your one-stop fountain of information regarding your local business community here in Fountain Hills. I'm your host, Jill Haislip. Be sure to stay tuned after the podcast to hear about upcoming chamber events. Today, our guest is Andrew Day, owner of DayLite Films, an award-winning full-service video production company who shoots short TV commercials to long corporate productions. He has won awards for his work, including 2 Rocky Mountain Emmys in Arizona and a Lone Star Emmy nomination for his work with the Texas Rangers. He has been in the business since 1989, and DayLite Films started in 2004. Andrew has a degree in film production from University of Arizona. Welcome, Andrew, to the show.
Thanks, Jill, for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I didn't know I did all of that. No, I'm kidding. That's great.
Yay!
That's very cool. Yeah, and the Rangers, by the way, not the actual Texas Rangers, the Major League Baseball team, Rangers. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're not hunting criminals or anything. It's baseball.
Tell us a little bit about DayLite Films. I know I kind of gave a general overview, but what is DayLite Films?
A full-service video production company. We work client direct and with ad agencies. We've worked with ad agencies locally. We've had clients from Brazil, from Chicago, Dallas, Kansas City, and then a bunch here in the Phoenix area, Scottsdale, as well as Fountain Hills. And we sit down with people and they know their business better than we do. So we try to get them to tell us what vision they want to have on the screen. If someone happens to come along their website, their branding, their commercial, and they see it, what are they going to get out of it? What's the message? And then we go to work and translate that message for them to the screen, because our bottom line is they know their business better than we do. Mm-hmm. And so I always say to them, think of Joe Smith watching this. What do you want him to get out of it?
That's got to be so fun, being able to tell a business's story.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. I mean, there are challenges. The process is, if people don't know everything about it, it can be a challenge, because you've got to be very, very specific about music selection, wardrobe selection, edit selections. You don't want to timestamp anything like, it's shot in Christmas, why is it on our site in July? You know what I mean? There's a lot of details, and sometimes clients just go, make a video for me. And you're like, well, wait a minute.
I need a little bit more information than that.
And then people start to get into cost, and a lot of people get sticker shock, because today it's, oh, my nephew has an iPhone and we're going to do a piece. Well, it's going to look like your nephew shot it on his iPhone.
Sure.
And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just using regular people versus hiring actors. There's huge cost differences, and it translates to the screen when you're trying to work with everyday people versus people that actually know all the terminology and know lighting and camera angles and.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
How would somebody go about approaching you to say, I want a commercial? Is it just simply that easy? Just call you up and say, hey, I'm interested in your work?
Absolutely. Especially, we also do a lot of branding pieces for websites, because we're finding that no one wants to go to a website and read all about you. They're gone.
Yeah.
So if you care about the first image that you show people, which is like your homepage, the first video they're going to see, spend a little extra money for that branding piece. If you're going to do, a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing or a monthly thing, grab your nephew, your iPhone, or somebody that does social media management, and absolutely shoot that. We'd encourage it, because then you can be very specific about whatever service for that particular week you're offering or month. Ours is get it done right, so that first impression people get from you is, this person actually cares about their message and they're doing it right.
Yeah.
We take emails, phone calls, texts. We've met people at a bar that have said, like, hey, let's do something. And sometimes from the branding piece on the homepage, we can cut 30-second commercials out of that, 15-second banner ads, different things that keep that branding and that marketing message all the same and consistent.
So you can do very small 15-second to
sure.
much longer, bigger productions.
Yep.
Oh, that's
in fact,
good
we
to know.
encourage people get as much in it as we can. Go big first and then whittle it down. And we use the term, give them your greatest hits, because inevitably they're going to help us write the script, and they write a novel, and we're like, nope, you've said this 3 times here. Let's try and get it down to the greatest hits. Make people pick up the phone, make people email you, make them interested in your service or your product. And then once you get them on the phone, you can explain all the many things that you do. Okay. Because anything over 2 minutes, you're going to lose the viewer.
Sure.
They're gone.
Do you have a whole team?
So people have probably turned this off right now. Just kidding.
Do you have a whole team of people that work with you?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got folks. It's funny, a lot of production companies have a brick and mortar building, and back in the day we used to call it a dog and pony show, and they'd come in and have all the espresso machines and check out our boardroom and all that. And we, as a collective, don't do that. We'll meet you anywhere, your office, coffee shop, whatever, to talk. But instead of charging the client to keep the electricity on and pay for the hostess at the front and the boardroom, we save the client money that way.
That's great.
And put the money towards the product on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you get into this line of work?
Well, I've always wanted to work in the film industry. So literally when I was 8, 10 years old, my dad was in the Air Force and we lived in Germany, and we used to hike past the big planes on the runways that were parked slip through a fence and down an alley and go to these movie theaters. And I fell in love with filmmaking and movies back then, and I always knew that's what I'm going to do. So went to Brophy College Prep here in Phoenix, was the media arts teacher's assistant. Oh. I was actually dubbed a Jedi by one of the priests. Did this every year. He would pick out a kid and make them a Jedi Knight in this very odd sort of ritual. When I saw it go down the first time, I'm like, what's going on here? He's turning out the lights, he's putting on the Star Wars music, he's running around with a lightsaber. And he came over and hit me on the shoulders, and the next year as a junior, I was his TA, and then as a senior, his TA, and was enrolled at Loyola Marymount University in Southern California because I wanted to be in Hollywood. Couldn't afford it, so went down to the University of Arizona, which has produced Jerry Bruckheimer, who's
I didn't know that.
The biggest box office producer in history.
Yeah.
John Hughes, who did Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles and all those movies.
Okay.
He's a U of A guy. So went down there and got a degree in film production, moved to Hollywood, was like a guppy in the Indian Ocean. I didn't wear turtlenecks and I wasn't cool, so I spent a lot of time sitting in traffic and had a lot of great experiences. I worked on Oliver Stone's film The Doors. So I had to deliver a script to Timothy Leary's house and did a lot of weird stuff like that. But once the riots happened, I'm like, I'm going back to Arizona.
Yeah.
And my folks had moved from the west side near Luke Air Force Base, which was my dad's last assignment, to Fountain Hills, 1986. So I moved out to Fountain Hills in 92 after the riots.
Okay. Well, we're glad that you came back.
And I've loved it ever since.
Great. I know that you work with your baseball. You're wearing
product placement. It's another one of my clients, the Kansas City Royals. We've worked with them for 12 or 13 years.
And did you get connected with them because they come out here to do spring training? Is that kind of how that
everything
works?
we do with them is spring training. If you go to a Royals game and you look at the Jumbotron and they're like, now batting number 22, we produce that for them here.
Oh, great.
And then 2 years ago, COVID protocol was crazy. Not this last spring training, but the one before that. And the Rangers had isolated us in a hotel room for 9 days, and we could only go from the hotel to the Rangers facility. And the Royals, we had already helped, and they found out we had, lack of a better word, boots on the ground. And they're like, hey, you guys have clearance. Can you direct 9 pieces for us? Wow. So in a 2-day span, I grabbed my team. We spent an extra day in Surprise and shot a bunch of spots for the KC Royals too. Wow. Because with the Rangers, it's both player introductions, social media content, and commercials. Okay. Yeah. And so the Lone Star Emmy one that you talked about was a spoof on the Netflix series Stranger Things. Okay. Called Ranger Things.
I like that.
And so the opening sequence of season 1, the kids are all playing like a Dungeons and Dragons type game. So we recreated that shot for shot with them playing with little baseball figures. And the main character girl on the show, her name is 11. So they said, where's 11? Well, they had a picture that was number 11. And we cut to him and he had his number on and he was floating a baseball in one hand, like telekinetic powers, while eating a waffle, because her character is famous for eating frozen waffles.
Interesting.
And that got nominated for a best commercial. We didn't win, but the one that did win was very funny. So.
Yeah. So you're all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. I know that you have also worked with, which I think is very exciting, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. He was out here recently with Chicago, right?
Yep, last month. Yes. Yeah, it's funny. Back in the day when I didn't own my own production company, the summers here are just too hot to shoot. And I was on a corporate gig for Mazda. I used to, in the summers, do car tours. And we would take new vehicles around the country and introduce them to different markets. The production manager on my car tour also production managed for Brian Wilson. And I used to play the drums. So he's like, hey, you want to be a drum tech? And I was like, I don't know. Sure. Why not? I got nothing going on this summer. And I worked for Brian for, 8 years. Traveled to Brazil and Japan and Australia, New Zealand. And basically, we did last month. We just had the Queen's Jubilee that's going on, her 70th.
Yes.
We were there with Brian for her 50th.
Wow.
And we were the only American act invited to the Queen's Jubilee.
Oh my gosh, I bet that was so amazing.
It was, we had, Scotland Yard, clearance for, security. The house band for that Jubilee was Steve Winwood, Eric Clapton, Phil Collins. And so people would play in front of them. We had our own band, but it was a mind-blowing experience the whole time doing the Jubilee.
I can imagine.
Being at Buckingham Palace, I actually saw smoke coming out of the palace, alerted guys on the stage, and all of a sudden it was a mad scramble. They took everybody out to the tennis courts. So there I am, just working in the business, sitting in the grass. And I'm really mainly a film video guy. I'm not Johnny Music. And there's Rod Stewart and Steve Winwood and all these different McCartney. I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, we're all just sitting on the royal tennis courts, hanging out, waiting for the fire to get put out. So it's been some fun adventures.
I can imagine. Well, tell me then, what is the favorite part of your job? Obviously getting to meet these people and these experiences.
Well, in the music industry, that was cool because I was kind of like I wasn't what they call a music industry type, because a lot of the technicians that you work with in the music industry, it's their job and they're great at it, but they're a little more like, I don't want to use the word jaded, but they're like, oh, those musicians. Whereas I was like, oh my God, it's that guy and this guy and that guy. And Brian is so revered in the UK that like we revere the Beatles in America, that all the shows in the UK would be sold out like 6 nights in a row, and there'd be Roger Daltrey and all these different rock stars coming to pay homage to him.
Wow.
And I was just like a kid in a candy store because I love music, but I wasn't in the industry per se.
Yeah.
But back to the film and video thing, my favorite part is the creativity, is getting to meet someone who wants to do something and helping them get what's between their ears, mixing it with what's between mine, and bringing it to the screen. And that's a lot of fun.
So we've talked about the huge stars that you've worked with, but you work with a lot of local businesses. I know the Chamber of Commerce has done stuff with you.
Yep.
So for one of our listeners or viewers that is interested in working with you, where would they even begin? I know we kind of touched on earlier that you can, just give you a call and we can kind of figure it out. But really, who is your people that are contacting you?
It's literally anyone. I mean, we did national marketing videos for Rosati's Pizza Sports Pubs, and the gentleman who put me in contact with their marketing department was a Fountain Hills resident, a friend of mine, Tim. So Tim and I start talking. He's with Rosati's. He's like, hey, I got this guy. And the next thing you know, we're off in Temecula, California, shooting the video that when Tim goes to market selling the franchises, it's our video showing at the franchise gatherings. So it's anybody and everyone. We shot Copperwind before it became Adaro, Scottsdale, and Fountain Hills Tourism, Fountain Hills Economic Development, Parks and Rec. Dory Wittring's a great client of ours. Back then she had the name of the company was different, but now it's, Remax. Sonoran Living, I hope I don't get that wrong. Chuck, you can edit that if I did, but She was fantastic to work with, obviously the chamber. So we do have Fountain Hills groups that we work with, but also, Rallyo is a company out in California, and they do franchise social media management so that everybody's branding within the various franchises you own is the same. And that was all just animation. So we can do graphics, animation, voiceover, music, real people, get them to act, if you will, even though they're not actors, and then also work with actors.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. It's exciting, it sounds like.
You know what? I've never worn a tie, and I've never sat in a cubicle.
There you go. I like it.
And I wear shorts to work, so it's all good.
So what do you do when you're not working?
Run, bike, swim. That's about it.
Bike, swim. Okay.
Although 2 weeks ago, I had a really bad bike accident and
oh no,
almost broke my ribs, but not quite. So the fact that I'm able to talk right now is really good.
Oh my gosh, well.
So I haven't been on the bike in a couple of weeks.
Okay, well,
and
stay
I like
safe,
to read,
please.
And I like to read, go to the movies, and, hang out with folks.
And you are also on the Chamber Board of Directors.
I am. I'm the quiet one on the Board of Directors.
Okay. How long have you been on the board?
Oh gosh, that's a great Betsy question. I think 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are actively involved with the Chamber of Commerce, obviously.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to somebody listening who maybe has not yet gotten involved with the Chamber?
My gosh, join. Even if it's at the lowest level, and they have the best prices, great staff, and they will help you and your business with whatever you need. Lots of different opportunities to get into what used to be called Elite Leads is now called
Success Factor.
Success Factor. And get involved in those, volunteer for all kinds of things, and you'll meet a bunch of great people that have local focus on Fountain Hills business, and they'll help you with your business and help you grow.
Great, thank you. What would you say makes your services different than some of the other marketing companies that we have here in Fountain Hills?
Well, I don't know. In terms of the marketing companies here in Fountain Hills, I think we just do different things.
I agree.
We have great ones in town that do more of a social media management thing or weekly pieces. Ours is, I'm not going to lie, we're a little more expensive than most.
Okay.
But you get what you pay for in terms of, in fact, we're literally right now, as you and I are speaking, in the editing process with the Fountain Hills Medical Center.
Oh, great.
So shout out to Debbie Clayson for introducing me to the folks over there.
Wonderful.
Because she did some great work with them, but there was a project, she's like, I think this is up your alley. And so we're putting together a branding piece for them right now.
And I love that you brought that up because no matter what Chamber of Commerce you're a part of, there's always going to be businesses who do similar like-minded things such as yourself. Yeah. And I love that you spoke on the fact that you guys work together. Mm-hmm. It's not a competition, it's a who's going to best serve their client.
Right.
And because you've worked with Debbie and some of the other folks, you guys know who can, kind of take care of that client.
Right.
Yes. That's wonderful.
Yeah, when people come to me and they're like, hey, well, will you do my Facebook and this and that? I tell them, nope, but here's the folks that will.
Right.
Because that's not one of our services.
Right. Speaking of working together, we are holding a Chamber U Marketing Lunch and Learn, which you are going to be a part of. I'm super excited for that. That is going to be this Monday, July 11th at 11:30, and it's a great opportunity for anybody to come and learn about how to market your business with different marketing professionals.
Yes.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you have not yet registered, go ahead and do that. We still have space available. Any other events or anything that you have coming up that you would like to share?
No, we have some stuff in pre-pro that we're not at liberty to really talk about yet. But,
sure.
Right now the Fountain Hills Medical Center Emergency Room is a great project that we're wrapping up. And the new economic development person in town, Amanda Jacobs.
Yes.
We've been in some discussions with her about potentially working together again, so we're excited about that.
Good. Yeah. Wonderful. How can people check out some of your work if they want to kind of see what you do?
Sure, go to the website. I'm not, the www, nobody says that anymore. In fact, one thing I'd recommend to people is if you're going to put your website out on this, don't worry about the 3 W's. Everybody knows that. Just do, JillHaislip.com or something.
Okay.
So DayLite Films, which is spelled a little oddly, D-A-Y, which is my last name, L-I-T-E, like the beer, F-I-L-M-S, and I know people don't do film anymore, but that's where we're all originally from, is the film industry. So all one word, DayLiteFilms.com, and you can bounce around there and find out the different services.
You have a great website. I checked it out.
Sorry.
Checked out your website beforehand to just kind of get an idea. I've known you for years, but to just, learn more about your company. So definitely check out the website. What else would you like to share with our listeners today?
Well, if you do go to the website, take your time to bounce around because,
yes,
in addition to pieces we're really proud of, like the International Dark Sky, there's another Fountain Hills thing that we did that's on the homepage. Bike Paradise, which was out of Scottsdale, also on the homepage. If you go over to like Alt CGI, you'll see some of the animation. We also have some lower budget stuff that, maybe if you're not looking to spend the money, you can see the difference in production value.
Yes.
Where it's just one locked off camera and it's just the person maybe on a green screen or sitting behind a desk. That's obviously a lot cheaper than, the helicopter flies in and there's a Ferrari and there's supermodels and horses, and that's a little pricier.
Because of the Ferrari, or?
Maybe it's a little bit everything. Yeah, things add up.
I can imagine. Well, I really appreciate you coming and doing the podcast.
I appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely. I encourage everybody to check out the website. You do really impressive work.
Thank you.
And
it's not just me, it's my team. So.
You and your team.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. Well, thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
And that will wrap up episode 58 of FountainCast. Thank you so much for listening and watching today's episode. Don't forget to share our show with friends, neighbors, clients, and anyone in your network. Please like, rate, and review our show wherever you listen to your podcasts. A new feature of our podcast is the video option available on the Chamber of Commerce's website and YouTube channel. If you are in need of a full-service video production company, please give Andrew a call. He has worked with a variety of individuals, businesses, large and small, sports teams, bands, and even the Chamber of Commerce. Andrew is a true professional and provides you with the creative marketing piece that you need. Now for upcoming Chamber events. As I had mentioned earlier, the Chamber U Marketing Lunch and Learn, July 11th at 11:30. You'll hear from Andrew. You'll learn from leaders in our community how to market your business better and differently. July 12th is our monthly 5 o'clock mixer at Adero, a perfect opportunity to meet new people. Our much anticipated monthly Chamber Lunch Mob on Friday, July 29th. We will be meeting at Cheryl's on the Avenue at 11:30. They are offering a 20% discount to anyone who is in attendance. We will announce our top secret restaurant location while at Cheryl's. Check the Chamber website for more details. As today's host, Jill Haislip, thank you, Fountain Hills, for continuing to be the best community.
Okay.
We're recording, so don't say anything mean about Betsy.
We love Betsy! Betsy's the best! Now go in the bloopers, right?
Yes. Hi, Betsy and Chuck. We hope that you're enjoying watching our podcast.
Crack open a bottle of wine, it'll make it easier to watch.
Okay. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Nice. Done. You did good.
Now I babble.
I could listen to you for hours talking about all the cool stuff that you do.
That's very sweet. And that fire thing is like, it's a true